Morning friends, new project on the bench, and this is a no-name guitar made of parts, and made of very good parts. And though I don't know what the neck or the body is, you might have told me what the body was, I think the neck's definitely no name. There is a nice chunk of, I mean it looks like ebony, but it's just probably dark rosewood, but look how thick a piece of rosewood is. So let's have a look at it. The neck is stained himself and lacquered over at the end. Sanded it back here, so it's a satin finish. We have a pair of Seymour Duncan humbuckers. We have Spurzl locking tuners, a lovely Arctic white gloss body. Unfortunately, someone re-drilled the string through holes, so we don't accept the string through ferrules anymore. So he's gone with a new Spurzl again, or Schala bridge, top mount bridge. There you go. There's some gold knobs on there, but he says a couple of things wrong with it. It needs the frets checking. The action is certainly too high over the first fret, so I need to cut the nut. It's a Graphtec nut, by the way, and the electrics are wired backwards. So I'm going to obviously get this all set up right. Gold neck plate, by the way, at the back. I'm obviously going to get this set up right. We're not going to do anything with those. I says, would you really want to pay the expense to get those filled in and re-drilled? Very expensive. We'll need it refinishing, so he's not going to go that route. Going to leave this bridge on now. Unfortunately, that bridge doesn't seem to be straight, and I may take it off, plug the holes and re-drill and set it straight, because that gives me issues. I don't like to see that at all, so I might sort that out. So that is what it is. The body, again, I can't remember what it is. It could be, I don't know what it is, so there's no point in me saying right now, is there? But there you go, lovely weight to this thing. I've not plugged it in or anything. Resonates really nicely, gives a lovely unplugged sound, which tells me that it is going to be even better plugged in. So again, the Spurzl locking tuners at the back, they're not set straight. Again, that's something that gives me slight issues. See if I can straighten those. The neck plate is straight, but yeah, what a lovely looking thing. Feels good, sounds even better. So do a little bit of fettling with it. And I'm going to plug it in first, check the setup as it is, and obviously I'll give it a complete setup, find out what Seymour Duncans are in there. I will have the back plate off, the scratch plate off, to have a look underneath, see what set of pickups are in this. I would guess, if I was going to guess, I'd say it's a JB in the back and a 59 or a Jazz in the front. They call that the back pickup for some reason, not the front. It seems that maybe it's the wrong way around to me, but I don't know, who knows. But anyway, back, front, so I'll find out what they are, and I'll come back, let you know about the setup, and we'll do a little bit of work on it after I've finished at Royal Mail later on. So I'm back from work at Royal Mail, so I'm going to crack on, have a look at this guitar. It's tuned to drop D. Just checking the intonation. But I'm moving that bridge anyway. Intonation's way out. Intonation's out, which I'll sort out later. It's not so bad. So the intonation's out on a couple of strings. We're going to not worry about that. I'm going to get these strings straight off and chuck them in the bin. Locking tuners on here, which fair enough, each to their own. Locking tuners are not something I particularly endorse or enjoy. They don't make anything any better, in my opinion. Just make string changing a bit more of a bind. in my opinion, of course. You know, we're on a title to our opinions. I just think it's a PITA. So, a couple of things with this guitar. I thought about the string through holes and how they've been messed up, been gooched, so to speak. Should I fill them with some epoxy resin or something? And I'm going to leave those, but I'm going to ask the owner of the guitar if he wants me to realign the bridge, basically fill in the holes that he's drilled with some epoxy and re-drill them, because that bridge is not square, and to me it needs to be square, you know, just to make everything right. Let's get these strings off, as you do. So a set of Duderios on there, always nice to see a good set of strings on the guitar. Yeah, and I'm just going to ask the owner, you know, to see if he wants me to reline that bridge, because yeah, it just don't look right, does it? Right, these strings, what I would do with strings, get the ball ends together. I know they're good strings, but you know what? Get them in the bin. When you change it, when you take strings off, just put a new set on. You know, faffing about with old strings. So let me show you the state of the bridge. Be 1 second, just want to get these, get them straight in the bin. So look at the bridge. It's not flush, it's not square. It's down this side. It's just not straight. So I'm going to have a look at it, see if I can straighten it with the screws on there. If not, I probably can't, because see what's in the way there, everything's in the way. I can't get that off anyway because it's in the way of the screw. So I've got to remove of course it's a flat screwdriver in it. That just makes things a lot more difficult. Bear with me guys. My electric screwdriver, we're knocking them out somewhere. See if we can find my electric screwdriver. I think it's on the other bench just across the way there. Which it is, I can see it right now. I've got to remove a couple of these saddles. There you go, just to get at the screws. Too difficult, was it? That one goes that side. That we know which side they go anyway. You can't really get these wrong, can you? Little roller saddles there. Just get these things out of the way for the time being. Swap the head for a screwdriver, and we're going to remove this. And it's not been put in flush. Yeah, and that's the problem with it is, let's have a look, isn't it? See if I can basically force it straight. That one's still turning in the wood, so it means, now there you go. I've got that straightened. I straightened that bridge, so I'm happy with that now. Wasn't that straight when it got here, was it? That one's still spinning, so we need to get something in there. and I'm very happy with how straight that now is. Look at that. We've straightened the bridge. That saved it a lot of faffing about, didn't it? So there you go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the frets. Now that is not ebony, as I thought it might be ebony. I don't know how good this neck is, but what we're going to do is we're going to see how straight the neck is. It's got a little bit of relief in there. I'm going to say it's a 4mm adjuster on the end of that, so let's just it's definitely not a 4mm because that's a 5. On a 5. What kind of adjuster have we got in there? I still think it's going to be a 4. Let's remove this because it's in the way. Remove this string tree here. I don't see why I'd use string trees with staggered tuners. Absolutely unnecessary. A big chip out the corner, by the way, of this. Yeah. So it's had a string tree on that side before, put in the wrong place. So we've got a big chunk of wood out of a nut here. Let's just show this on camera. This area here, big chunk of rosewood missing from there, or whatever it is. So it is rosewood or ebony, whatever wood it is, but that's missing. So let's try see if we can get a. Right, it's a 4mm. It's not going in that way anymore. So as far as it will go to the left. And there you go. So that's as far to the left as it will go. I don't know why it's that far to the left. It doesn't need to be. That. Now it's got a bit of back bow in it, so we need to go a little bit to the left, just about there I'd say. We'll have a look at the frets and see how level they are. Okay, a little bit of back bow in there. Still, let's go a little bit like there. And that, my friend, should be about straight, and that is as straight as we're going to get it. Okay. The only reason we couldn't get in there before is because the angle of the truss rod adjuster, we weren't quite getting it in there. Let's tighten that in place. That's now tighter. I don't see the point of string trees with staggered tuners. There's an extra hole in there, and so it looks a little bit untidy, but there's not a lot I can do about that. This string tree we will put aside with the rest of the bits. For now, I'll be putting these saddles back on momentarily. That middle one is spinning, so I'm going to pack some more wood in there, re-drill a hole and tighten it so it just gives us a better bite. So now we're going to look at the frets. So what we're going to do is, once I'm happy that the neck is as straight as we can get it, which I'm not straight enough. I need to just loosen that truss rod a little bit more. And that is as straight as I can get it. And now I'm happy with that. Fret rocker, you all know what these are. 4 precision milled flat sides. It's so we can check 3 frets at a time. So we turn it over as we move along the neck, just so we can always check just the 3 frets. So we're going to check the frets, see if we've got any rocking. If there are any rocking, we are going to tap them back in. And if they're still rocking after being tapped back in, we're going to level them. But let's see where we are. We have a high one there, and a high one there, and a high one there. That's 2 frets out of 3. fret wire seems to be pretty hard. The frets aren't that bad, from what I can tell. Here's another one. That was really high. Is that 4 or 5? So that's 5 or 6. There's another one. Before we start mentioning leveling the frets, the whole lot, wow, that's about 8 now. Let's get them all tapped. That's about 9. Let's get them all tapped back. So at least 9 or 10 high frets. That is saying to me to level the whole lot. But let's get them all tapped back in and clamped back in first. I do believe they've been glued in because they look like they've been glued in. So let me get set up. I've got to nip out in a minute. I've got to go to the dentist in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to go and get ready in a minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap these frets back down. I'll find my fretting hammer. Just here. With the neck support underneath, we know this one's high. And we know this one's high. Just sit with the nylon end of my fretting hammer. Let's see where we are. Still high. Still high. That's 2. Seems okay. Still high. Sometimes it can just become unseated over time. Still high. So what we're going to do is, I seem to have settled again now. I'm going to let this sit for an hour or two while I go to the dentist. I'm going to come back, and if there's any high ones when I come back, that one's still high. I'm going to see how much of a fret level we are going to need. We're definitely going to need a fret level of some sort. Hammering them in can sometimes reseat them back, but a lot of times they can either pop back out or they're just not seated correctly anyway. That one's still not moved. Still high. Okay. quite high on both edges here. We'll see where we are now. Still high. Still a little bit high. So let me go again. This time I'm going to mark off the areas that are high and we'll see how many high spots we have. Because I can't do any more than what I've done. And regardless of anything, see I've hammered them all in and that one's still high across the whole fret. Regardless of anything, I think it's going to need a fret level. You might as well get it done, get it right. So you've already got 1, 2, 3 high frets out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People have said on quite a few of my videos, why don't you knock them back before you do a check and win fret rocker? Well, I do. I just don't always show it on a video. But now I kind of do. So I've got 4 high frets already. Like I said, once I get to 5, we're going to level the whole lot. I can't spot level more than 5 and get them level across the whole length of the neck. It's just easier to do the lot. And there you go. There's 6, and that one all the way across. That's 7. So we're justifiably going to go complete fret level. It means we're going to skim across the whole length of the fingerboard. So there you go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 high frets in 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's 3 areas, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 15 high spots over 8 frets. So I think that warrants a complete fret level. So I'm going to let the owner know, tell him about my plans. I'm going to reinforce the centre screw on the bridge by removing it and packing some wood in there, whatever wood I've got to hand. I've got a load of cocktail sticks. I could put some wood and glue in there because that's just spinning. So let us pack that up a little. We have straightened the bridge, which is fantastic. Oh yeah, I've got the cocktail sticks right here, look. Don't even need to drop any glue in. All I need to do is just cut these to length, drop a couple in there. See where we are. Gonna need about 2 pieces. Just drop a couple of pieces in there, and that is going to give the screw something more to bite against. In fact, I'm not going to get 2 in there. Let's see if we can get 2 in there. We can get 2 in there. So I've got 2 bits in there, and that's going to give the screw something more to bite against, and it's going to stop it spinning. So what I've done with the screw, it's right here. Right here, my friends. The dog's in there. If you can hear snoring, it's a dog. He's just laying down there. He's just let one go and he's snoring. Right, let's see if that is tightened up any. You see, there you go. Now that is tight. And that is tight. And that is tight. We've got that bridge in straight now. So what we can do is, oh Ross, that stinks. We can put these saddles back in the correct way. And that one goes in that way. Like so. I do have a small screwdriver knocking about just here. I'm going to go and get ready in a minute and go to the dentist. It's just a check-up. I had some bridge work and a crown redone earlier in the year at great expense. That doesn't seem to want to go in yet. Making sure I've got it in the right way. Well, I've got it in the right way. Just not in at the right angle. There you go, got it in at the right angle at last. So the bridge has been realigned. This is great news. That's saved any unnecessary expense, hasn't it? Didn't have to reroute or fill anything in. I need to try and get this lined up. Always fiddly things, these jobs. I think we're close with that one. Hard to pull them up because there's not a lot of grip. I think we're in there. So that's good. So we've got the saddles back where they need to be. We've got the bridge realigned and we have marked off the frets. Don't know if you can see there, marked them off with a blue pen. What frets need work. Just have a look at that bridge again, how much better lined it is. So that's it for now. I'm going to go clean my teeth before I go to the dentist. I'll come back and I'll crack on with this one a little bit later. Today, fret friends, we are levelling frets on this Partscaster, this Jackson type Partscaster. Now, I've gone and marked up all the high spots on the frets on this neck. I don't know how many I mentioned the word before, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frets with high spots, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 high spots over 10 or 11 frets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, over 10 frets. And I don't think you're going to hear the rock on all of them because my wife, we have a tumble dryer running in the other room. But let's just give it a go. You may hear that. There you go, you can hear these high spots. Now you will remember that I levelled these frets, or I didn't level them, I tapped them all in with a mallet a couple of days ago. But we still have high spots. You're not going to hear all of them, like I say. Some are not so bad. But take my word for it, there are many high spots on these frets, so I'm going to level all of them. And for doing that, there are two tools I specifically use. Now this is a diamond file, it's precision flat or precision level. It's diamond encrusted. I believe this is a finer grit, 300 grit. And this will remove material quickly and it will leave it, I mean it will be scratches in it, but it won't be too bad. But once we've finished with this is going to remove the main material. Once that is done, we're going to go across with my Crimson Guitars leveling beam. Now this has, again, precision level edges. It's a 2x1 piece of steel, could be aluminium, by Crimson Guitars, and I have 2 bits of emery on there. On this side I have a 240 grit, and on this side I have a 400 grit used for smoothing and removing scratches. And once I've got over with the fret, with the file, and I've got the frets level, I will go across with this to smooth everything off and remove some of the deeper scratches. Now normally I'd like to remove the nut for this. I'm not going to remove a nut. I do have a little device that sits here and builds a ramp up to the nut, and it stops the leveling beam and the file hitting the nut. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the main material using this, and it will find its own level. And once this starts being smoother, it means I've removed enough material from the frets that are high. So it's just a matter of following the radius with this, letting the file do the work, and the frets will find their level following the radius. Fortunately, I don't need to remove anything from the M1, so I'm not going to really hit them up. I can already tell that I've removed all the material from this full fret here. And what we do is, we just follow the radius until the transition or the movement of the file becomes smoother. And that tells me that we've removed enough material for the file to now be hitting all of the frets, not just the high ones. And once that is the case, we will take our fret rocker again and we'll check the frets we've levelled. And we'll find that those high spots have now gone. And we're going to do the same all of the way up the neck, removing all of the pen on the frets. And it really is that simple. The file will do the work, just need to hold the neck in place so it doesn't move too much. Hopefully it doesn't move at all. And you'll notice I'm overlapping here. That's because we need to do the full width of the radius, which follows the widest fret, which is at the top. So we're always, when we get down here, going straight, we're going to be overlapping at the edges. And that will maintain the radius along the whole length of the neck. And like I say, the file will tell me when the frets are level, because the movement will become a lot smoother with less friction or less resistance. So what I do is every now and again I'll just wipe the file. I do have a brush knocking about somewhere that I use specifically for this kind of job, and here it is, and it's a clothes brush. It's no longer a clothes brush, I've been using it in the guitar shop for years. Now something's telling me that this is a stained piece of maple fingerboard because it looks quite light underneath. I don't know whether it is or not. The pen, by the way, we can't brush it off because it is indelible. It's permanent marker pen, which I prefer to use because that way there's no cheating. You can't just wipe stuff off. You know, it's got to actually be filed. Not that I need to convince anyone that I'm not cheating, because, you know, I don't do that. As my reviews will show. So you see now I'm doing longer strokes, just checking that everything is being filed and smoothed off. And again, it's easy to get frightened of this job. When I first started doing this, I thought, oh, I'm removing too much material. You're not. The file will tell you when you're done it off. Now, some of you may be asking where I bought this. This is from Chris Allsop, based in England, in the UK, where I also am based. And he's got his website, chrisallsop.co.uk. I think it could be chrisallsop.com. You have to check it out. Also, just Google him, Chris Allsop. He's also on eBay where I bought this. This was round about, it wasn't expensive, it was under £30. And it's a fabulous piece of kit. I use this more than any other tool in the workshop, I think. Well, or as much as any other tool in the workshop. That's probably the most used tool I have in the workshop is my Z5, Stumac Z5. So what I'm going to do is now, again I'm going to brush everything, and I'm going to check the frets and see where we are. And anything else anything that is still high, I'm going to hit with a marker pen. I'm going to mark up. And if there's nothing high, I'm going to mark all of them, and then we're going to hit them with the levelling beam. Now, you'll notice with this, we're levelling the frets. The tops of the frets should be crowned like that, but because we've levelled them, they're going to be flat. We're going to need to re-crown them again a little bit later. I'll explain more about that when I'm ready to do it. Today is a Sunday. I don't normally work Sundays, and I'm due at church in the next half an hour, so I'm not going to do any more on this just yet, but I am working a little bit today. I've broken up for a week from Raw. So the whole week is going to be dedicated to this workshop. I have many projects lined up this week. I have at least 9 projects on the go. Some of them quite big ones, a couple of refrets in, I've got a couple of fret levels in. But this is saying that the frets are now level. I've not hit this end so much, so I may need to do a little bit more work up here. That one's still a little bit high. So we're just going to give us a little. I'm not pressing down hard, by the way, ever so light, but letting the flour do the work. And once I'm quite happy with everything, just going to go up and down to see if I can feel anything. And that all feels pretty good. A little bit of resistance up here. But that, I think we're just about level on everything there. So what I'm going to do is, before I get ready for church, it's 10 o'clock now, I'll be leaving here at 15:15, so I've got 15 minutes, I need 10 minutes to get ready. So I've got 5 more minutes here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sharpie, I'm going to cover all of the frets, marker, and we're going to hit it with a levelling beam. I'm not going to hit it with a levelling beam, I'm just going to mark them up and I'm going to leave it because I need to put my little bridge on there and I've not found it yet. And what we do is I hit it with the 240 grit just to get everything precision levelled along the whole length. And I can show you how that works. So my levelling beam, 240 grit on the base, and it's just going to be a matter of letting the levelling beam do the work. Nice and gentle. And just following the radius. And removing all of the pen. Let's see where we are. And my friends, that is all of the pen removed. That means the frets are level. Just a couple of areas up here. Make sure I'm still on the 240 grit. So this means that I have the frets level along the whole length of the neck, which is great news. Just a little bit more on the edge to get rid of. There you go. And now two-handed, nice and gentle. Now we are getting movement, which I don't want. So we'll do it one-handed. It would be better if I had this in the jig. But take me time, I don't have to jig it up. And I'm looking for a uniform width of material removal along the whole length of the fret, left to right. and we'll remove the same amount from this side as we have that side. So I now know that the frets are all level because they're all silver topped. So we're level across the whole length of the neck. I'm going to take my fret rocker again. The leveling is the easy part of this job, but I'm going to take my time now and just feel everything, make sure there's no high spots anywhere. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera just to show you that the frets are now all flat topped. We're going to obviously have to recrown those. For recrowning purposes, I will clean the fingerboard with some naphtha, get any dust and crap off there, and I'll tape between the frets with masking tape. I'll mask everything off, just leaving the frets exposed. But there we are, level along the whole length of the neck. I'm going to finish off, not going to do it now, I'm going to do it later on with some 400 grit. I'll come back, put the camera back on and show you that. So I need to mark these frets up again, go with the 400 grit because that is going to remove some of the deeper scratches, because the 240 grit leaves a deeper scratch. 400 grit will smooth everything off, and then we can tape everything up and we can get the recrowning process done. So that is it for now. It is 3 minutes past 10 on a Sunday morning. I'm going to go and get ready for church, and I'll be back later and we'll do a final level with the 400 grit paper. We'll tape this all up and we'll move on to the recrowning process. So back from church, I've been shopping, I've just penned all of the frets, and we are now going to go over with the 400 grit paper. Again, emery. This is quite, I'm going to change this pretty soon because it's been on here quite a while, but we're just going to check that everything's still level, and this shouldn't take too long, and this is going to just soften any of those scratches. And so we've not even gone anywhere near the nut. Just tap them up there so gently. I'm just checking for pen, and that's like all of the pen is gone. That can only mean one thing, that all of the frets are level. I do like to turn 180 degrees on the leveling beam just to go over again. Not that there should be any inconsistencies anywhere with the leveling beam. But that is it, all of the pen is gone. Can only mean one thing, that the frets are level. Let me just show you there. So just give it another check with the fret rocker. So we have level frets. And what we're going to do is, once we've ascertained that these frets are all level, not just level on the whole length, but obviously because of that they are all level with each other, I'm going to come back and show you the flatness of the frets. I'm going to bring the neck up close to the camera, or closer to the camera, and show you how we tell. I'm going to turn it the opposite way around as well, but how we tell that the frets are all level. And if you now have a look, you'll see the black lines either side of where we've levelled, and you'll see the flat spots, and that one's about 1 mil wide, probably that's just over 1 mil wide on this one, just over 1 mil wide on that one, and that's because we've levelled that way. So where the frets were once crowned that way, we do have a flat spot on the top, and we're going to rebuild that crown next. So what we need to do before we do that is we need to clean up this fingerboard, because the fingerboard has that dust and whatever on it. And how I like to clean fingerboard is with most commonly used substance is naphtha. Now in England we don't have naphtha, but we do have Zippo lighter fluid, which is naphtha. There you go. So I'm just going to clean the board up. This will eventually evaporate. This is good for cleaning the board. A good squirt on there. Make sure everywhere is covered. This will evaporate. I'm going to wipe it off anyway. And this will get rid of any grease also. And it'll help the masking tape stick better to the fingerboard. If there's no grease on there, it's going to be much better. So this is just cleaning. I don't know what wood this is made of, but it's got some weird residue in certain places. I think this is a stained light wood. That's just a suspicion. I don't know for sure. I'm going to grab a can of compressed air, which I use now and again in the workshop, just to blow away anything that's on the fingerboard if there's anything there. Go in the opposite direction. And there you go. So anything that was residing on that fingerboard is now gone. And we can now tape up the fingerboard, leaving just the frets exposed. We know that the neck is straight and we know that the frets are level. So it's a perfect platform for us to now get recrowning, then move on to, well, once the recrowning is done, we'll move on to the polishing. So it's going to take me a while to tape up the fingerboard, which again we'll do off camera. When I found my tape, which is here. And I will crack on, get this all taped up, ready for recrowning. So while the adverts are on the TV, I've just watched Leeds United pummel Millwall 3-0 at the Den. Me being a Leeds United supporter, and always have been, very, very happy about that. Just turn the sound off, so we're just going to move on to crowning these frets. And if I've not mentioned it before, which I know I have, we've levelled the frets and they've got flat tops, so we need to recrown the frets so we've got an arc on the top that the string sits on, because we want minimal contact between the string and the fret. Not minimal in as much as it's to a point, but a nice gentle crown where we want the contact of the string to be about 0.4 millimeters, no more than that. So I'm going to be using my Z file from Stumac, and this has two different cuts. It's got a long shallow cut and a steep sharp cut on there, and you turn it 180 degrees and it's got the opposite, the same but on the opposite sides. And what this one does is it will cut each side of the fret at the same time at different angles. You flip it, it'll do it again, but it will not touch the top of a fret. And the reason we don't want to touch the top of a fret is they've all been levelled, so we're not removing any material at all from the tops of the frets. And this is brilliant. It's my best piece of kit. I've had this about 3 years now. It's a diamond file, diamond encrusted, and it cuts so well. It doesn't scratch too much, so it's easy to polish the scratches out. But watch this. Just a few strokes, turn it 180 degrees, and it does the opposite cut on each side. And that has just left a thin black line down the centre of the fret. I will just show you. You should be able to see there, the first fret, thin black line down the centre, and that is what we're after. And once we've done that, I will then go to a, is it a concave or a convex? And I'm going to go with the medium. It says wide and jumbo on there. I'm going to go with a medium fret one, I think. Again, a diamond file. Again, by Stumac. If I can get it out of the packet. Like so. Again, this has the crown actually built in. And all I'm going to do with this is just remove any inconsistency. Not going over the top, just on the side. And just to round off anything. And just to do that edge and that edge. Just to round those edges over. And that is it. So I'm going to show you again. I'm going to clean the file. Always clean the file after a fret. So again, it really is this simple. And these files are going to rebuild that crown for me. Flip it 180. Clean the file, ready for the next fret. And again, with this one, and there you go, and that is 2 frets done. That is it. It's going to take me a while to get the rest done, so I'm going to do the rest off camera. I will come back, show you the results before we move on to the next stage, which will be polishing. So back soon, guys. So I am done recrowning the frets. I'm also done for the day. We have a meal booked at 4 o'clock. It's 25 to 4 now, just up the road there at a carvery. So we are going to nip over to there in a minute, the wife and myself. I'm just going to go over again with the fret rocker because I've just recrowned, and there shouldn't be any difference to the height of any of the frets because I've not touched the tops of the frets. I'm just going to whiz across it really quickly. You will hear some music in the background. That is a little bit of Sunday church stuff we have on downstairs, the wife and I. Sunday is predominantly our worship and church day, as being born again Christians, which we love our faith. So you can hear that right now. Hopefully that will not cause any copyright issues with anyone anywhere, because if so, we'll remove this video, which is pathetic really. But there you go. But anyway, the frets are still all level, they're perfect. So tomorrow I'll be doing the fret polishing. I will show you that process tomorrow. Moving on, fret friends, frets are all crowned, and I'm going to go through with 7 grits of sandpaper from 2000, 1500, 1200, 1000, 800, 600, and starting with 400 grit. So we go with more coarse right up to fine, and we're going to remove these scratches. So we're only going to be polishing in this direction because remember we put scratches in that way. So we've still got a black line down all of the frets. It means we've not reduced any height of any of the frets, so we've maintained the height. And it's just a matter of me now painstakingly spending an hour or 2 on this and removing all of these scratches. And we go with an ever finer grit to remove the scratches, and eventually we'll bring them to a beautiful shine. And when we finish off with a steel wool, this is going to take me a good while. So I've got 7 grits of paper to go through, and then I've got to go through with the finest grade steel or superfine steel wool. So this is going to take me, like I say, it's going to take me a long time. I always adapt a glove for doing this job. Cut these 2 fingers off and this thumb off, just so I don't sweat too much. And these are my polishing fingers. Now what I like to do is I've got a lot of sandpaper there. I do like to cut this in half and do 1/2 with one piece, 1/2 with another, because that way it gives me I get the best use out of the paper. Got roughly 11 frets to do with each, 10 or 11 frets to do with each. So I'm moving down the paper with each fret. And I'm going to stop the camera because I do like to listen to something while I'm working. If I listen to something while I'm filming it, I will get done for copyright and they'll ask me to remove it from my video. So it's best for me to just stop the camera, listen to whatever I'm going to listen to, get these done, and I'll come back and show you the results later. So I've just finished polishing these frets. I've been through with the 7 grits of paper, as I explained earlier. I've just finished off with superfine steel wool. And it's the superfine steel wool that brings the shine to it. It's the paper to remove the scratches and the steel wool to bring them to a lovely shine. And basically, what we're doing, we go over the top and we get right in at the corners. And that is it, and that is all done. And I can remove this glove now because everything's going in the bin. But there you go, they are the frets and they are beautifully polished, shiny and good. And now you'll see the reason why I put that strip of masking tape along the length of the neck, because it makes it easier to peel off the strips going between the frets. And this is the most satisfying part of the process, because you get to remove all of this. Now there will be residue left, we're going to get all of that off, so we will give this a spray of what you know is lemon oil, but it's really mineral oil. And say this is low tack, it's called low tack masking tape, but it does stick quite, you know when you've been pressing into it, polishing stuff, it actually sticks a bit better than sometimes than you like it to. But there you go, we more or less got it all off. And that is it, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to bin all of this. I'm going to spray the fingerboard with lemon oil in a second. I'm just going to show you the frets now. And you're going to see how wonderful they are. And there we go, guys. And let me just zoom out. And there you go. And look at those. They look wonderful. So it's more or less, it's as good as a new neck. That just looks, everything just looks fantastic on there. So I'm going to grab some lemon oil. Far too much on there. I don't put too much on the too little, because we need to soak in these areas. And this not only nourishes the wood, whatever wood that may be, it will get under any grime and any residue from the tape, so I don't mind spraying it and moving it all on, because it will also work as a cleaner to remove all of that residue. And there you go, and because I've got that residue between some of these frets, yeah, I'm going to give them a little scrape with a standard blade if I can find one, and I'll find one straight away. Because there is some residue from that tape between these frets at this end. I don't know what it is, but it always seems to be that yellow tape that leaves a residue. So I'm going to scrape all of that away. But the white masking tape doesn't seem to leave that residue. It's just that yellow stuff. And there you go, and that's all. Right, so I'll let it soak in for a few minutes and I'll come and wipe all that off shortly. and the neck. Now, well, in a few minutes we'll be ready to go back on the guitar. Those frets look fabulous. Morning friends, just setting up my solder station this morning, and we are going to rip apart all the wiring in here because it's wrong, it's not wired correctly. I have my Hacko FX888D soldering iron all set up, and we are going to try and desolder this input jack. While we're doing this, look how short the wire is there. You can't move anything. You've got no leeway to move this at all. These wires are far too short, there's far too much solder on there. And so it looks like I'm going to need my solder sucker now. I've just happened to have bought a fantastic new solder sucker. This was about £20, but boy is this next level. It has a silicone tip at the end that doesn't burn. Silicone doesn't burn, it also doesn't stick to glue, so it's a great substance. And we are going to get the solder sucker in here. Now the problem with this wire being so short is I can't get anything in there, can't get the solder sucker in there right now. So hopefully I'm just going to get enough on here just to melt the wire, and the wire's just going to pop off like so. Far too much solder on there, wires are far too short, so I'm going to replace these wires with the same kind of wire but longer. I do stock loads of this stuff, this cloth pushback wire. The guy who's obviously done this he's not a proficient electronics guy. There you go, that's off. Now we've got to get all that crap off there, which I'll do in a minute. But the good thing about that now is this wire should now pull through. And I found a wire diagram. Now you see, we can move this out of the guitar, and I can leave that wire on there if I want to. Do I want to? Again, the wiring on the back of there really isn't that good. Do I need to disturb it? Not really. So I'm going to basically just hang this out of the guitar and give myself enough room to work. Now I made a solder mat out of some of this cushion I've got under here. I had some spare, I covered it in copper tape, and it gives me a solder station. All this wire's coming off because it's not very good at all. And in fact I'm going to, that's the earth wire from the bridge. I'm going to remove it because it's not very good at all, is it? I've got my soldering iron set to 360. Might not be enough for the back of this pot. And this is the thing, you don't just put as much solder on there as you want. I've just turned my solder station up to 410. This will melt, trust me. There you go. Look at the amount of solder on there. Let me show you the amount of solder on here. I'm going to get rid of all that. It's just, come on guys. But you know, I'm not going to get rid of that because it's just more work for me. I mean, it's not going to cause any great harm, but come on, you don't need this much solder on anything. How much solder I've just sucked out of there in one go. You're not going to believe how much solder I've got off the back of it in a minute. Wondering where all the solder is in the world. It's on the back of this pot. So, Matt, that's your rubbish guitar. You need to update your soldering skills. This is the solder I've just removed from the back of that pot. Can you see that? There's still a little bit too much on there. So, I've got my bin. I've had to move the bin out. I've had to move a few things out of the way. So that's that. So, I'm going to desolder everything on here. I'm going to redo the lot. I'm going to charge an extra 15 quid on this. Which is about half an hour. Totally clean up this switch. I'm going to show you the rest of the wiring in a minute. It's got sellotape on there. And I understand if you haven't got the right tape, fair enough. But it's called sellotape. Come on, guys. I can understand my boys probably got this done and thought, you know what, this ain't going so well, I'm going to take it to someone pro. And I get it. I'm not slagging him off, you know, we all like to, I've just burnt myself. We like to do his own work to some extent, but you know. We all want to do a proper job. I mean, I get why people want to use this pushback cloth wiring. I don't think it's practical for this kind of job. I tend not to use it. It's just a pain in the arse. Now look at the blob of solder on the back of this pot. I get it. I get you want to do your own thing, but come on guys. Far too much. I'm just going to completely get that off there. So I'm going to bin all of this wire. Everything the guy has done himself. So I'm going to let a guy know and say, look, I'm going to be a bit of an extra charge for getting cleaning up all this wire because I didn't know how bad it was underneath. I'm sorry about that, but you know, I've got to pay for my time. Right, here's my phone. So I'm going to crack on this, get it all cleaned up, get all the. Let me just show you the state of the. So I'm going to tidy all this up, clean it all up. Here's all the wire that I'm not going to use. Cloth wire, all the bits and bobs, just going to bin all of that. I do have a wiring diagram, but it's not a very good resolution. Especially I couldn't get a PDF, I just had to get a JPG. So it's not printed too well, but it's enough for me to work with. It's a Seymour Duncan one. I can get that done. So let me crack on. I'll get all this cleaned up and I'll come back and show you the results in a short. Regarding the pickups, by the way, we've got a JB in the bridge and we've got a Jazz in the neck, which is standard. It's a standard pairing. So I'll be back shortly, guys. So this is not to slag everyone off, but I just want to show the amount of solder on there. This is our not to solder. There's far too much solder on the backs of these pots, and I'm surprised the pots aren't ruined with that much solder because you have to get a lot of heat on there. You've got all blobs of solder on here, look, massive amounts, which is going to be quite difficult to get off. I've got to clean everything up, so I'm probably going to have to take these pots off the scratch plate to get them all cleaned up properly and to get them all resoldered, because there's far too much solder in there. So yeah, I'm going to have to charge him a little bit extra. I'm going to let him know right now. One more thing I want to try and avoid, and that is, see how the two splines here are crushed together because it's got a grub screw on there. Try and get your grub screw on the centre line there so you don't push these two together, because if I try and prise these apart, one is likely going to snap, and I really don't want that to happen. So I'm going to just get a screwdriver in there and gently eke these open. But we want to try and avoid this in the future. And I've just managed to more or less prise them apart just a little, because you see this is all chewed up. These splines are all chewed up there, and we want to avoid that, because there's splines, that's got splines for a reason. I'm just going to slightly eke those open. So what we're going to try and do when we do this again later is we are going to get this grub screw right on this edge where the split occurs. So we're not going to press these two together, because they need to be that diameter for a reason, to hold the knob so it's flat and straight, so it turns smoothly. So something there, we just need to keep that. And I've done this many a time, and you've eked them open and they just, one of them just snaps off, and it's not good, because if that's the case, it's like to be replaced, and you know, you're not free. So I'm going to get all the solder off of these pots. I've taken all of them out. Like so, we're going to clean them up, and there's all this to clean up. Look at all this, because I've got to get these, because these aren't bent. These are we've got far too much bend in them, so I'm going to have to sort those out again. You know, too much solder on there. Can I clean these up enough? I think so, but it's quite a bit of work, so I'll show you the results in a while. So moving on, I've got the pots pretty much cleaned up, lots of solder out, but I've managed to get all the lugs straightened up how I want them, and the third lug on each one I've bent straight over to the edge of the pot casing so we can solder the ground on there. And again, I'm pretty happy with how they all come out. We've managed to clear all the solder off, a lot of work. This one's probably the worst of the lot, but again, we can solder these earth connections straight onto the edge of the pot, which I prefer. Now each one, I don't know what pots these are. I'd imagine they're Alpha brand or some cheap Chinese brand. I don't know, I'm not sure, I can't be sure. What I'm going to do is, why I have them all off the guitar, I'm going to get some switch cleaner in there, and my switch cleaner of choice is Servicol Super 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray inside each of the pots once I find my switch cleaner, which I can't find at the moment. That means it is out somewhere, but I don't know where. So when I find it, I have found it. It's over on the other bench away in the corner. Servicol Super 10, and what this will do is it'll decarbon the wiper inside. And I'll actually get a good amount in there, and we're going to give it a squeegee with this, left and right, left and right, left and right, and this is going to clean the carbon. So if these pots were scratching, which they probably weren't, but if they were scratching, they're not going to be scratching anymore. I've given a good amount of switch cleaning in there. The rest of it will evaporate, and again, straight in there, and give it a let it do its stuff. It is magic, this stuff. It really works very, very well. So any build up carbon in there, that will get rid of. And we're going to let them sit and dry out a little. I'm still going to be using the same capacitor we had before, the orange drop. I've not really cleaned that up yet. I'll clean that up in a minute. So it's a 0.047 gubbins, whatever measurement it is, nano or picofarads, I don't know, I've never really looked into it. But there you go, they are all clean, so they will all work fine. So I am more or less ready to start getting everything rewired. I'm going to clean up these wires. They are a bit long, but I'm not going to alter the length of anything, but I am going to cable tie these up, get them a little bit neater. And still got to clean up the switch, which I'm going to do in a moment, and then we'll get the wiring redone. The new three-way arrived super quick. I ordered it from Axtech. It was one of their own brand. I've used these before. They're very well made, every bit as good as the Oak Grigsby, and including postage, £10.45. So I've just soldered that in. Everything is a lot neater than it was before. I don't know how much you can see from there. I've used some vintage cloth wiring. I've put some proper wire between these four contacts joined together, two on the far side, then we loop over to the near side, and these two, and that all goes down to the tone switch. So that's all in nice and neat. I cleaned up the pots. I didn't get rid of all the old solder on top of the pots, but I cleaned up all that gunk on it. I earthed them properly with the lug bent over to the pot, and I've got an earth wire running on the outside of these pots here as well. Soldered in the capacitor really nicely. That's earthing from the middle lug to there. A great alpha pot there. I don't know how long I've had this one. It's a brand new one made in Korea. Love those pots. They're really, really good. I imagine that costs about £5. I'm charging a fiver for that. That's 10 quid. 15 quid extra for labour. But that's everything soldered in. I've tidied up the pickups, and everything is ready to go back in the guitar. So just basically flip everything over, and with the bridge now squared up, everything looks fantastic. That's the old switch. What happened with the old switch is the guy got too much solder on there, and the solder had run down one of these contacts here and it had seized. I did try to fix it, but it didn't clear anything enough. So there's no contact being made on these two lugs here because too much solder was flowed into there and it had gone down. I did solder suck it all out, but it was no good. But that's the kind of wire I use, look, for these four. These two join together, then you jump over there and these two together. I've actually done an extended one so it goes straight to the pot. So we are using good 20 or 22 gauge thick wire on there. That is no good. It's going in the bin. Here's the bin. There you go. It's gone. Not going to need that anymore. So now I can start putting the guitar back together. And we'll get the bits. I did some extra wire there, don't need that. Stick that back in the pot, can use that on something else a little bit later. So we're just going to get these screws back in, and then I can put the neck on. God, I didn't pick a screw this morning, it is early. I've only had one coffee. So we'll get this on, get the neck back on, get some strings on, get this all set up, ready to go today. Everything's working fine, I've checked all the electrics. So let me get this all back together. And this will be ready in a couple of hours. And it can go out today. There is a shim in the neck pocket, the Crimson Guitars shim, and I've just cut it and reshaped it to fit the neck pocket properly because it was overlapping at this end by about 3 or 4 millimeters at that end, and it was overlapping on the side there. So I've trimmed a little off. It's what you do with these things. And it now fits in that neck pocket beautifully, so it's not going to be overlapping anywhere. And once we've got the neck in, it's going to be a nice tight fit. Let me just show you how it is there. So that is a lot better than it was. So I can now put the neck back on the guitar. Now, I was sure there were a couple of these screws were spinning a little bit in the neck, so I may have to reinforce these holes with a little bit of dowel or some. We'll get something in there just so the screws bite a little bit better, because these screws seem a little bit thin to me. You can get thicker ones. So let me go and find the neck, which is here. Now this is at a complete fret level, recrown and polish. Looks fantastic. I'm hoping the shim came on this guitar, I think it did. And there you go, you can't see it. I mean, you know it's there. You can just see it underneath, but it's not overlapping anymore. So let's get this back together now. Plate goes on that way. I'm going to stick this one in first because I think these ones fitted quite tightly. But if we've got any spinners, that one's tight. That's good. It was these at this end, I think. And if they spin, we're going to drop some. No, I was mistaken. They are not spinning. They are in nice and tight. That's wonderful. That's great news. I mean, maybe we'll get it confused with another guitar I've had in. I don't know. Yeah, they are lovely and tight. So there we go. We are looking like a guitar again. Let's move the soldering iron out of the way. So we are getting close to the end. So I'm going to move the camera again. So now all we need to do is clean up the guitar. Let me just move the camera. Wrong way. That's fine. That'll be the owner texting me on WhatsApp. So there you go. So we're now looking like a real guitar. I've got to clean up this area. There's some finger marks on there. Get all that off. I'm going to reset the pickups, get them all lined up right. Everything's looking good, everything's working. I reset these, I've replaced a pot, replaced the switch, I've squared up the bridge that was not quite right. I've put a new, I've got a charge for a new jack as well. I've gone with a pure tone jack. These are my jacks of choice because they have, instead of having the 2 contacts like a standard jack, they have 4 contacts, 2 each side, so you get a much sturdier connection. So I've got a charge for that also. I'm running a bit low on those, and I'm going to go Stumac buy some more, I think. But yeah, everything's looking great. Would we have been better with a black switch tip? I may have one. We'll have a look and I'll see what I think. See what I'm thinking a little bit. But just cleaning up the guitar, ready for strings and what have you. I did consider building up this nut area here with some rosewood dust and whatever, but it's going to take me too long and I'd have to charge for it anyway, so I'm just going to leave that as is, let that be a little mojo piece. It doesn't affect anything. Everything is looking pretty good now. The frets are all level, recrowned and polished. So it's had a lot of work, but it's going to play and sound fantastic when done. So I'm going to get some strings on in a minute and we'll get this all set up. So a couple of things left to do. I've got the strings on. I've not got them all stretched in yet, but I have them on. I'm just doing the intonation, laying down. I will do the intonation again properly once it's in the playing position. But we're just going to check things as they are. And I'm stretching the strings in at the same time. Still plenty more to do. I've got to cut the nut slots and everything yet, but we're going to get the intonation done, then we're going to get the radius done on the bridge, we're going to get the action done at the 12th fret, then we're going to cut the nut slots. Get intonation first. Fine on the E. Intonation is pretty much set bar the top 2 strings because I've already checked it off camera. Again, fine. Squaring that bridge off has made a big difference to everything. I hate to see that bridge not square, but now it's squared and secure. I do like things to be exact. Intonation's wonderful. A little bit sharp on the G, but looks of it. No, we're good. It is an nth sharp. Now what how I like to remind myself of where to go. If we're sharp at the 12th fret, looking at it from this direction, we need to move the saddle to the right or towards the strap pin at the end of the body. Sharp and right are 5 letters. Now if a noted 12th fret note was flat, we'd move the saddle to the left, both 4 letters. So follow which way. So if it's sharp, go to the right with the saddle. If it's flat, go to the left with the saddle. So I need to lengthen the string length just a bit. Now, a screwdriver's not going to fit in there. So I need a flat-ended screwdriver, which I've got one here. I believe one on the G string. So all I'm going to do is get in there and I'm going to lengthen. Let's just give it a couple of turns. And now we're perfect. We're stretching these strings in. It's a set of Diodario 10s sent by the client or supplied by the client. Tiny bit sharp. So we move to the right, so I'm just going to bring the saddle more towards the strap pin at the body end. Beautiful. And now the E string. So the intonation is just about done. Don't like stretching these E strings too much, don't go mental. I've snapped loads over the years. I'm a little bit, people say heavy-handed, I just think strong. Again, sharp. So we're going to bring the saddle toward the strap pin again. Experience tells me to go a little bit further with this one. I do have a strobe tuner. And we're beautiful. So that's the intonation set. So things I need to do now is I need to set the radius on the bridge to match the radius on the neck. I need to set the action at the 12th fret at the same time. So I'm also going to check the amount of relief, because once I've got the right amount of relief in, I can set the 12th fret action, then I can set the radius at this end. Once all of those 3 things are done, I can then come back and cut the nut slot. So just to be done a little later, I've got one walk the dog, and then I'll come back and I'll finish this one off. So a few things I still need to do. One, we're going to check the action height at the 12th fret. We're going to check the radius. In fact, I'm going to check radius now. I'm going to take a 9.5 inch radius gauge here and just check the radius of the neck. On these guitars it could be anything from 9.5 to 12 or 14, but that is looking like it's very much like a 9.5. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now then, the radius here, it looks to be pretty much bang on. So there's not been a lot for me to do. I need to lower that one there. Lower this gubbins. But apart from that, that's about it. So the guitar has come up, set up pretty well. Now the guy did do work on the guitar himself. So the guy, the owner of this guitar, Matt, obviously knows what he's doing. The radius is pretty good, not perfect. So what I'm going to do is, quite happy with how that is, I'm going to just set the height at the 12th fret, but first I need to check how straight the neck is. And I'm looking for a gap of about 0.2 around about the 5th and 6th fret. Normally go the 6th because I go between the 5th and 7th. So 0.2, 0.25 would be pretty nice. Let's see where we are. Check a 0.25 on the 6th. That's normally a decent indicator. And that is pretty much bang on. Again, did I set that? I think I did. I have altered the truss rod. So I'm quite happy with where that is. So now I need to measure the height above the 12th fret, and I like to err on the side of caution before I cut the nut slots. So this side I'm going to be looking at 2mm, this side I'm going to be looking at 1.75 because I'm going to cut the nut slots down anyway, and it's going to bring the action down a little bit lower. But I'm just going to see where we are. And already we're at 1.75 on the bass side, and about 1.5 on the treble side. So I'm going to come up ever so slightly on each one. And you'd almost think that the guys watch my videos and set this up according to my specification. So I'm just bringing these up just a little. We always bring the saddles up horizontal. We don't send them in we do line them up in an arc, but we don't arc them over. Each one goes flat and steps up and steps back down. So because I'm altering just a little here, I'll take everyone up just to here, as you do. So 1.3mm Allen wrench in here. I thought it was a 1.5, but to go and get the 1.3 out. So I'm just taking these up to here, a little bit higher than I might need because I need to cut the nut slots. Very nice bridges, I really like it. Everything is easily adjustable. So we're not going to be in tune now. But we're not far away. The setup on the guitar itself, I mean the way it's set and everything, I'm happy with everything on this guitar, especially now I've squared off that bridge. That makes all the difference to me. The guitar is solid. It's a very nice neck with the frets now leveled. It's superb. Everything about it, the weight, the way it looks is fantastic. Okay, we've had to change the switch, we've had to change the input jack, and we've had to change one of the pots, but all very, very worth it. The guitar is looking fantastic at the moment. It's a shame I've put a bit of a scratch on this jack plate here, but you can hardly see it. You've got to really look for it to see it. So again, let me check the action at the 4th fret. About 1.8 there. Still about 1.5, 1.6 there. So we could go a little higher. I'm going to leave it as it is for now. I'm going to see how low we can get it. We're going to have a look at the nut slots. Now, from here to here, I'm going about 0.3 there, 0.2 there. That's the height of a string above the 1st fret. And we're going to go gradually slope down in between. Now the middle 4 actually look to be pretty low. It's just the 2 outside ones that kind of need any adjustments. So I'm just going to measure the outside too. See where we are. So that's quite high. That could come a little bit lower. Look at this one. Let's go 0.2 on that side. So let's have a look. So I'm quite happy with it, where more or less everything is, bar the low E at the moment. That's fine where it is. They are very, very low. That's low. That's low. I've only really got to touch the outside one. So that's it, so it's going to make my job a lot easier. I'm going to grab my nut slotting file, take the 46, because I put a set of 1046s on here. That's not the 46, I thought it would be. £9, it's hiding away. Here it is. These are my Hosco nut slot files. It's the 11 set, I think it's about 125 quid. And there's the 46, 0.046, it corresponds to the inches, measurement in inches. And this, I'm going to cut this slot. And keep checking. I'm already happy with that. And turn the tuner on. So I have a 0.2 just here. And that's it, I'm happy with where all those slots are. So all I need to do now is check the action again at the 12th fret. Everything's pretty much where I'd like it to be. We are a little bit low on that side. We are pretty much bang on the other side. So I'm going to bring up the low E. About 1.6. So I'm going to slightly bring up all the others next to it. Just a little, just to give us the same amount of clearance above the frets. And I'm more or less eyeballing this rather than measuring it, which comes with experience. Once the outside two are done, you know pretty much where you are. And we're going to check the tuning, and that feels pretty good. So a few things that make a big difference. Small things like the shim under the neck, cutting it to fit the slot properly, or the heel properly. It just makes everything a lot neater. Squaring up the bridge. These are things that make everything, if it looks right, you're going to want to pick it up and play it more. And that is the guitar done. I will alter the camera angle and I will come back and I'll tell you what we've done with this guitar, and I'll go downstairs and play it, and I'll let the owner know it's ready to collect. Okay guys, we are all done with this one. Let's try and remember everything that we have done on this guitar. So it came in, the bridge wasn't square, that I saw that straight away, that needed squaring off. It needed a fret level, which we've done. It's had a complete setup, nut slots have been recut, we've done the intonation, the radius, the action, we've set the relief in the neck. After it's had a complete fret level, recrown and polish on the frets. We have replaced the three-way, we've replaced one pot, and we've replaced the input jack for a pure tone jack. So it's had quite a few upgrades, but wow, what a difference it's made. It's a shame about the back there. I didn't see a point of wasting my expense and getting them filled in, because you know it's more money, it's expensive. It will be fine. You can plug them holes yourself, you can fill them in with some epoxy yourself if you want. But look at the guitar. It's every bit a Jackson killer, this one. It looks like a Jackson, feels like a Jackson. I love the neck, it's a lovely neck. It's got Spursel locking tuners on there. It's got a, is that a Spursel or a Schala bridge? Looks like a Schala bridge. I love the rollers on this because they roll up and down left and right, so you can alter where your strings are as well. But it's had a complete setup, complete fret level, changed some of the electrics, done a complete rewire on this. The price for the whole job I've charged, including all of the parts and all the extra labour, is £195. But that is £195. You now have a guitar that is as good as a Jackson, a medium range or a medium price Jackson or an Ibanez. I think it's fantastic. And I'm going to go downstairs and play it in a minute. I already know it sounds brilliant, but that is it until the next job. So Matt's going to come and pick this up shortly. I know he's going to be extremely happy with the work. It's got a beautiful action now, and it just looks the part. And what a beautiful, beautiful guitar. It's been a pleasure to work on this. Cost him a little bit more than I originally quoted for. I did quote him 155, but I didn't need bits needed changing it, or it needed extra labour. So he's happy with the price. He's happy that it was under 200 quid. So that's it, it's all ready to go. So before I go, just need to remind you guys of my website, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I am Victor, I am your fret friend. And until the next time, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you next time.